Welcome everyone. This video is the solution to the Excel challenge graphing yield curves from TechHub.training. This video reviews techniques used to format scatter plots by changing axis bounds, tick mark labeling, axis positioning, and creating reference lines. Let's first take a look at the dataset. This has the interest rates for each level of maturity for U.S. Treasury bonds and the days they are recorded. We also have the difference in long-term and short-term interest rates that we will use to graph the yield curves. All right, let's get started. First, we will insert a scatter plot with lines, and then we need to select our data. We'll call this the 10-year minus 1 month yield curve. For the series X values, we will be using the dates they are recorded, and the Y values will be the 10-year minus 1 month yield curve. Now that that's added, we can see our scatter plot. The graph is there, but it's a little messy, so we want to clean that up a bit. First, we'll notice that the x-axis is kind of cutting through the different data points, and so we want to lower that to be on the bottom edge of the graph. So we'll go to Format Axis, scroll down to Labels, and set that to position low. It's already much better. Next, we want to add some formatting bounds to the axis so that the graph matches up and begins and ends with the start and end dates that we have in our data set. As you see here, this uses a number, but we have dates. What Excel does is dates are actually recorded as a general number that we can use to set those bounds. So if we set the format to general, we'll notice that the number is 42,738. And that's what we can put for our axis bounds, for the minimum at least. Doing the same thing for the end date, we get 44,925. Now we can see that that matches up on the graph. We also want to change the tick marks so that they only show each quarter of the year. Quarter is 3 months or 90 days, and so if we do that, we should have each tick mark shown. The tick marks are there, but they're all cluttered because they're so long. So what we need to do is come down to number and change the formatting to be 1 month and the last 2 digits of the year. We add that, and then it formats it quite nicely. The last thing we want to add is a reference line so that we can see visually when the yield curve is negative or below 0. In Excel, the best way to do that is by adding a new column to our data set that we'll call a reference line. And it can be whatever value you set it to. Here we just want it to be 0, and we'll add that for the entire data set. Now we will add that series just like we did before by selecting Data, adding a series, call it the reference line. Again, the series X values will be the dates, and the Y values will be the newly created reference line. Oops. Now let me come back to the graph. See that it's created a reference line that can better visually show us when the yield curve is below 0. However, adding 2 series actually removed the chart title that we had initially put. So to add that back, we can click on the plus, chart title, and we can just re-enter it as we did before. And if you'd like to reduce even more clutter, we can remove the grid lines and just clearly see the yield curve. Now we will repeat that process for the 10-year minus 1 year yield curve and the 10-year minus 2 year yield curve. Once you've done all three, you can compare them and see what fiscal quarters stand out most to you. All right, thank you for watching.